3 months ago, I learned of my uncle's passing. We weren't close. Hell, I can barely picture his face now, though I think he used to wear a hat. In his will, he left me one of his houses. I was touched. I was also a new father, juggling twin girls' bills and the tightrope act of marriage. The last thing I needed was another property to worry about. So, I decided to sell it. Simple. Just stay there for a week, sign some papers, let the realtor handle the rest. I drove across the country alone. My wife couldn't leave her job, and someone had to keep our kids' lives stable. I treated it like a mini vacation, a house all to myself. Quiet, maybe too quiet. The first few days I noticed little things. Stuff wasn't where I left it. I'd see quick shadows dart at the edge of my vision. I'd check the time and realize hours had slipped by. I blamed stress. Being alone, it was easier that way. Then the neighbor came by, an elderly woman with tremoring hands and a smile like wilted paper. She brought me Buster, a golden retriever, said she'd been watching him while my uncle was in the hospital. Funny thing though, she acted like my uncle had just died last week. I let it go. Buster was exactly what I needed. He settled right in, but he never went upstairs. Ever. One day, I opened a treat jar. Buster stood behind me, tail wagging. I looked down for 1 second. When I looked up, he was gone. I tore through the house. The layout still burns in my head: kitchen to living room, to master bedroom study, off to the side, then dining room, entrance hall, stairs. Upstairs, split left and right on a balcony overlooking everything. Guest rooms, game room, that bathroom at the end of the hall. I searched it all. Nothing. I was about to print flyers when I opened the front door, and Buster came scrambling toward me from the kitchen tongue, lolling happy as ever. That night I let him sleep in my bed. It made me feel safer. I didn't know then how big a mistake that would be. Work picked up. Calls, emails, contracts. Clients loved me. I was lining up promotions. Sometimes I'd hang up and find it was night. I was so consumed that I started ignoring Buster's whines. I set alarms to remember to feed him. I barely remembered to feed myself. My health tanked. My hands shook from caffeine and hunger. But I kept working, because stopping meant noticing the house again. Then, bang! A door slammed upstairs. For the first time, Buster charged up on his own. I nearly called the police, but felt ridiculous standing there with the phone in my hand. So I grabbed a frying pan and crept up. The hall was dark. Moonlight from downstairs barely reached. Buster stood in front of the bathroom door. It was wide open. I had closed that door. I knew I did. I flipped the hallway light. Nothing. My eyes adjusted to the dark. I stepped forward, and my foot landed in something warm and sticky. I pulled out my phone and shone it down. A pool of bright red liquid surrounded me. I dropped the phone. I ran. Buster followed. The cops found nothing. Said it was rusty water, bad pipes. I wanted to believe them. That night, exhausted, I snapped at Buster. Did things I'll never forgive myself for. Next morning, I got a week off work, mental vacation. So, I focused on Buster. Games, treats. Then, I found the first message, written in red on the upstairs wall. Losing your mind. I called my friend, an old college buddy. He drove 30 minutes to pick me up. Except, when I walked out to meet him, the driveway was empty. I called him. He insisted he was outside the address I gave him. I heard him knock, heard an old woman answer. "Never heard of your friend," she said. I walked to the curb. No house number, just that message again. Losing your mind, written in red. I tried to leave, but the front door wouldn't open. So I whispered to Buster, "Time for a walk." The back door slid open like nothing was wrong. We climbed over the fence, chased up a nearby hill. My hands found carpet. I was back inside. On the second floor landing. Buster was gone. The phone rang, my wife's voice. But then she started teasing me. "Pretty please, with a cherry on top. I wonder what Buster tastes like." I dropped the phone, ran upstairs, found Buster frail, gasping, dying. The walls were covered in messages. Losing your mind, still wet, still dripping. The cops came again. I heard my wife's voice greet them downstairs. I screamed. The hallway stretched like a funhouse mirror. Then a scream, the officers. Suddenly the hallway snapped back. I fell down the stairs. Landed on Buster. He didn't move. I buried him in the yard. Then I found myself eating cereal. What if it wasn't cereal? I spat it out, ran to the door. It stood wide open. Outside, the cop car was still in the driveway, keys in the seat. I drove left, right, left, right. No other cars, no people. Until I blinked. I was sitting in the armchair, in my uncle's living room, hands out like I was still holding a wheel. My laptop sat on the table glowing, words already written. Lost your mind, good. Now you won't mind losing the rest. I tried to type for help, but my hands wrote something else. I'm sorry. I've disappointed you all. For the last time, goodbye. The house has me. I keep writing, because if I stop, I die. So, if you ever inherit a house from a relative you barely remember, maybe let it rot, because sometimes the house doesn't just want your body, it wants your mind. And when it's done with that, it takes everything else.